from the chocolate ice cream on my lips, have I?
You realise that's in the video, don't you? ladies and gentlemen, Captain Cook, one very famous truck, and a bloke who will probably become very famous himself, well, because he's on Truck and McCurmy, but more importantly and more saliently is because he owns this truck. Richard Wilken, how are you, sir?
Very well, thanks, Kermie.
Mate, nice to meet you.
Thank you for the opportunity today.
Along with the organisers, thank you for bringing this piece of classic trucking history to Commemorate this fine and sunny day. Mate, how long have you had it?
Since about approximately early to mid-October.
Okay.
So we haven't physically had it in our hands for very long at all. And it was a little bit of a push to be able to pick it up in Perth and get it back to Warwick-Nabil and get it through the workshop in a presentable condition to go to the Horsham Truck Show in the first week of November.
Right, okay. Right, so have you been chasing this particular truck? And we're talking Captain Cook here, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Were you chasing this truck or just one of the Centennial editions for some time?
Well, Kermie, I suppose Mack trucks are a little bit like lawn bowls, and once it gets in your system, it's pretty hard to get it out. And I've been part of the Mack family since for 43 years now, since 1982, and we've got quite a few of the recognised Mack vehicles that are of significance. Obviously, this one now starting in '88. And the 2000 Centennial, the 2013 Southern Cross, which commemorates 50 years of Mack production in Australia, and the 2019 Super-Liner that we've got that commemorates 100 years of the production of Mack trucks when Gus and John Mack started Mack trucks in the States in 1919. So this one complements the four. So yes, we've been looking, and just a classic example of the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and having the money in your pocket.
Yes, no.
Or a very friendly bank manager.
A very friendly bank manager. That's right.
It's you should be starting a museum.
Yes, we've got one as such at the moment, but
good.
It's
at Warwick-Nabil.
At Warwick-Nabil. It's something else on our list to professionalise that a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And as the date of birth takes over, and my young team in our businesses are doing the job probably better than I've ever been able to do it, one of my ambitions will be to try and professionalise the housing of these vehicles and make them open for people to come and have a look.
Right, well, there's a nice segue, which we almost passed, and that's your background.
Yeah, exactly.
So where did you start out? Were you always going to be a truckie? Was it in the family?
Started, as I said, in 19, been in trucks all my life since I got a licence, and we started commercially in 1982, and the first truck we ever bought, a Mack, and is still in our possession, number one, and it's tucked away in the shed, and it'll be reconditioned at some stage. But we started carting our own produce to port. We're at Warwick-Nabil, 270 kilometres from the port, and from a farming background, we started carting our own produce direct to the port. And I suppose you would say one thing led to another, and along came the second truck, and along came the third truck, and I think the saying would be the rest is history.
Right. How many are you in the fleet now?
We consistently run around the 15, 16 all the time, a bit over 20 if we're busy.
Okay.
And we've got quite a few of the older ones put away in the so-called museum.
Yeah, well, the business has been kind to you, I would suggest, and I might add, through nothing but hard work, to allow you to indulge in what is obviously a passion.
Yeah, absolutely. And, no, it's
the brand.
Definitely too far to turn back, and we don't wish to turn back. The Mack brand, the Mack organisation have been absolutely sensational to us, and we've got no reason to change, and certainly that would be the last thing on our mind due to the history that we've got with Mack, and we're fortunate enough to be very close to Mack, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful journey with that company. Wonderful.
Well, I'm not trying to make you sound old here, but over your time, you would have seen change of ownership of the Mack brand.
Yes.
Over the years.
Yes.
So would it be fair to assume that under the Volvo ownership, as it is these days, that they are at the top of their game?
Look, obviously the Volvo, predominantly cab over. Well, the Volvo for line haul work, and if we think back to when the old 34 pallet rule was in for running up and down the east coast, well, Volvo fitted that requirement perfectly with the cab over.
Yep.
So the acquisition of Mack look, it hasn't made it any easier for us Mack people to source Mack parts, and particularly with the older vehicles as such here. We're fortunate enough to have a contact in Mack's in spare parts that's been there for over 40 years. And I'm fortunate enough again to be very good friends with Gary Richards, who was a household name in the Mack world and the Mack fraternity that was there when this actual vehicle came off the production line in the late 80s, and the other 15 along with it. So, but Gary's knowledge is extraordinary with particularly the older models, right up until and including when Volvo took over and became bought Mack. So there's still some of the old school there, but of course it's just evolution. It's just newer vehicles and younger people in spare parts and sales, and so Mack is challenged at the moment. But for a long bonneted, high litrage vehicle, there's no doubt. I think they're as good as the best of them. I think so.
How many kilometres has Captain Cook got on it?
A bit over 3 million.
Okay.
Which is not a heck of a lot for a 1988 build. It was partially reconditioned before we got it. A guy in Dolby had 4 of these, and he reconditioned 3 of them, which includes the painting. All 3 were painted, and all the major things were done for reconditioning, but unfortunately he passed away, which is very sad, but and that sort of led to those 3 moving on, and the 4th one that's in 1 million pieces that's also moved on. So so what you see here, all the paint was done about 13 or 14 years ago in Toowoomba, and it's been undercover basically ever since. And
I was going to say it looks brand new.
Never seen bitumen till we actually, well, this will be its longest trip for many years, from Warwick Nabil to Koroit today, without a doubt.
What sort of horsepower is it?
All the Bicentennials came out with the 500 horsepower. Big
motor in its day.
It's a big motor, and the same litrage motor went right out to 610. They were a very, as all the Mack people will know, and the older generation, which I fit into now, the older generation will know, the extremely torquey motor, and but they did get pushed to the limit, right out to 610 and perhaps a little bit better, and you needed a very good mechanic to look after them.
Yes.
But if you did that, their lifespan was more than acceptable. But if you slipped on maintenance at that high horsepower, you may have paid the penalty. But back in their day, a lot of torque, which is what the transport industry is still looking for today. Low revs, big litrage, trying to increase that fuel economy, and this is what Mack did way back in the late 80s.
Yes,
by developing this engine.
Yeah, mate, it's a beautiful truck. Congratulations on your ownership of it.
Thank you.
I'm happy for you, but I'm sure I'm not as happy as you are yourself that you've been able to get a very rare beast.
Yeah.
And you're keeping history alive of what's been an integral mark into Australian trucking history.
Absolutely. Look, again, our privilege, and thanks for having a chat, and we'll continue to do our bit for the Mack brand. And again, we're very, very privileged to be part of the Mack family.
Wonderful. Richard,
Thanks,
thank
Tony.
you very much. Nice to meet you. We
Thank
will
you.
see you again.
Pleasure.
Cheers, mate.